Hello and welcome to Power Basics with UJC. We are starting Standard 10 with me with the chapter Climate. It's about India and it's part 1 where we're going to study the factors that affect the climate of India. So this is a part 1 of this chapter and I'll keep posting the remaining parts as time goes by. Today let's just understand what are the factors that govern or affect the climate in our country, India? What is it? What is it about the layout of this country? What are the various things in our country that bring about climatical changes across the country? We have climatical changes across the country. What is causing that to happen? So let's go one by one, step by step. I have incorporated all kinds of questions that come in the exam, give reasons for. Let's understand them carefully. I've put them in the right place so that you can search for the answers for them. Have solved the questions at the back of the textbook, the ICSC textbook for Standard 10th. Let's enjoy this study together. And I hope you enjoy Power Basics by UJC. You can find me on my YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, share with anybody you like who you think will benefit with this video. Let's study together. Let's go. Let us start with the first point to know. What is the climate in India called? What is the type of climate that India experiences? You will say, oh, we have summer, we have winter, we have monsoon, we have autumn, we have spring. Yeah, but this climate in India, because of its positioning on Mother Earth, has a name. It's called the tropical monsoon climate. So one would ask, why is it called so? You could have this question also asked you in the exam. Why is India called a place where you have the tropical monsoon climate? Well, India lies in the tropical belt, in the tropics. India lies above the equator, but the Tropic of Cancer passes through India. Its climate is influenced by monsoon winds that are mainly confined to the tropics, 20 degrees north and 20 degrees south of the equator are where the monsoon winds lie. And we are in the tropics. We are in the 20 degrees north range above the equator. So we are lying in a zone where there are monsoon winds. And so we experience the tropical monsoon climate. What are the main characteristics of a tropical monsoon climate region? Relatively high temperatures and dry winters. Just remember this for now. So let's start with saying what are the two geographical features or factors that provide distinctive climatic conditions in India or affect the climate of India. What is it about our setup of our country that gives us these climatic conditions? One is the Himalayas in the north. They protect northern India from the cold winds from Siberia and Central Asia. The Himalayas are a barrier. They protect North India from these cold winds that can blow from Siberia and Central Asia. They give it a continental climate, which is dryness of air, land winds, and large diurnal range of temperature. You've learnt about this in 9th standard with me. What is the diurnal range of temperature? So, the direction of the mountain range, the Himalayas are east-west. At that crown, they're the crown of India. They're east-west. So they protect us from those cold winds from the top. And the monsoon winds from the bottom go and crash against the Himalayas. And there is rain and snow on the windward side, which we read last time. It will all come in this chapter, don't worry. The Indian Ocean in the south gives it a hot monsoon climate. Why? Winds that blow over oceans pick up moisture from the oceans and they come towards us. And India has the Indian Ocean in the south, which gives it a hot monsoon climate, which is typical of the tropical zone. So, areas close to the sea get a lot of rain. Okay, now we'll understand that as time goes by. Okay, so the two reasons, the Great Himalayan range in the north and the Indian Ocean in the south, are two of the main geographical features that provide a distinctive climatic condition in India. Define monsoon. Monsoon is derived from the Arabic word mausim, which means what season? What rainy season? Water everywhere. Monsoons are, what is a monsoon? Monsoon are periodic winds. How do these winds develop? We learned last year sea breeze and land breeze. They develop because of the differential heating of land and sea. I will explain this as we go along in this part 1. Don't worry. Just keep these concepts in your mind. Let's go ahead. So, if you are asked to name the type of climate prevailing in India, then it is going to be the tropical monsoon climate. What is the main cause for tropical monsoon type of climate? It is the proximity to the sea. On 3 sides we have water bodies India has. So the differential heating and cooling of land and sea. We learned this last year in insolation in standard 9 that sea and land have different rates of getting heated up. When the land gets heated up first, more than the sea, then what happens? Hot air rises up from the land because of insolation. The heat comes out of the earth, heats up the layers of atmosphere above it, and the hotter air moves up. There is low, when air moves up, there is low pressure in this area. Cool air on the same side of on the sea, which is cooler, and the sea takes longer to heat up. There is cool air above the sea. This cool air is closer to the sea. It is high pressure. And in the atmosphere, it's always a tendency of air to move from high pressure to low pressure. So air moves from the sea towards the land, causing sea breeze, cooling effect. The differential heating and cooling of land and sea results in low pressure on land and high pressure on the sea. So now air is moving from the sea towards the land. So these moisture bearing winds, moisture bearing, they carry the moisture with them because they're above the sea. Moisture bearing winds move from over the sea towards the land. And what happens? When we said this last year, when now, what are relief features? Mountains are relief features. So now when this moisture bearing sea breeze or winds are moving from the sea towards the land and they crash against a mountain, they precipitate and they give rise to rain. So remember that. Name the state in India that receives rainfall first. It receives, which state do you think gets it first? Now when you look in Bombay, we wait for 15th of June. Has monsoon broken where? In Kerala, the southernmost tip. From there, rainfall comes all the way up to India, up to Mumbai and beyond. Okay, let's go forward. So during which months of the year does the greater part of India receive rains? June to September. So the question is, give reason for most parts of India receive rainfall during June to September. Why? Why is it at that point of time? Why don't we have this tropical monsoon some other time of the year? Well, because during the summer months, the differential heating of land and sea takes place. It results in low pressure on land. We just learned that because the land gets heated up faster, the air above the land gets heated up to the installation and rises up. And high pressure over the seas. This causes monsoon winds to drift over the Indian subcontinent. So there are winds, we just said, in the belt 20 degrees north and south of the equator, there are monsoon winds blowing. Winds that are picking up moisture from the sea and blowing. Now because of low pressure on land and high pressure above the seas, the wind moves towards the land. It gets attracted there because the air has risen above the land. So something has to replace it. So these winds come there. Now, large land masses to the north of the Indian Ocean get intensely heated during April and May, causing formation of intense low pressure in the northwestern part. So, in the land masses above the Indian Ocean, the masses are getting heated. So, air pressure there is low, air is rising up. Now, this attracts the most important trade winds, southeast trade winds. This, you will think that we're talking about southeast trade winds. Okay, fine. The southeast trade winds are attracted from the southern hemisphere. After now they are below the equator, 20 degrees south of the equator. They are being attracted towards India. Once they cross the equator, We read about the Coriolis effect last year. The Coriolis effect deflects them towards the western coast of India. And here when they arrive, they are called the south. They're coming from the south. They're coming from the southeast and then they get deflected to the southwest. Now they are called the southwest monsoon winds. This is the onset of rainfall in June till September. So why only June to September? Why do we receive rain only then? Because there has to be heat first. And when are we getting hot in India? April and May. Hottest months in India. Sun's rays are so direct. That causes the differential heating of land and water. Low pressure on land, atmospheric air moves up. High pressure on seas, air from there has to come here. It starts blowing from the seas. And that's how the monsoon rains come to us, or the monsoon comes to us. It rains here during June to September. Very important question to understand. Learn this well. If you haven't understood something, you can always leave a comment, or you can always tell me to, post something more to explain it. So you can reach out to me. The phone number is there out here of PowerBasics. You can WhatsApp me, you can, message me and ask me for help. I'd be more than happy to help you to understand this. Now, what are the important characteristics or features of monsoon rain in India? What is so special about it? Well, rainfall lasts mostly 3 months during June to September, is mainly during the summer. A majority of the remaining months are generally dry. Rains are mainly relief type, orographic. We learned this last year, different types of rainfall. Windward sides of mountains getting more rain than the leeward sides. We studied that last year too, that when the clouds crash onto the mountain, they precipitate there. So the part of the mountain towards the wind, this side, is getting the rainfall. When the clouds pass over empty, or they've shed all their water, on the other side is the rain shadow area called the leeward side. So rains are mainly relief type, orographic, windward sides of mountains getting more rain than the leeward sides. Coastal Tamil Nadu gets rain in the beginning of the winter season. There's an explanation for that which we will do together. Rainfall is in heavy downpours causing soil erosion. Monsoons are 4 hours, unreliable, undependable, uncertain, unevenly distributed. They are erratic and sporadic. We don't know when they're going to come. Sometimes there are droughts, no rain, or sometimes there's a flood. Only a few parts of India receive cyclonic or conventional rainfall. The Indian economy is agrarian, based on agriculture. A large proportion of people earn their livelihoods through agriculture and are dependent on the rainfall completely. So, in the exam you could be asked, state 3 features of the rainfall in India. Remember, it's the months it is in. Remember, it is mainly relief type, orographic, windward and leeward. Remember, coastal Tamil Nadu. Remember the 4 N's: unreliable, undependable, uneven, uncertain, erratic, sporadic. And India, being an agrarian economy, requires that rain. So why are the monsoons so important to India? First of all, agriculture. India is an agricultural country, so income and prosperity depend on the rains. If there are no rains, there is no way to produce food, no way to sow your seeds and produce food in agriculture. And therefore, incomes of farmers get hit very badly. Agro-based industries are affected by rainfall and in turn the Indian economy. What are agro-based industries? For example, clothes, cotton is based on agriculture. It's grown by the farmers, and then cotton yarn, and then clothes, jute. So many things are agro-based. They need agricultural-based products to make their industries happen. I think the eco students will understand this much better. Even a slight variation or change in the direction of rain-bearing winds converts a normally well-watered area into a desert. So if these monsoon winds decide to change their course, no rain, gone, finished. Hydroelectric power plants get affected. If there's no water, you can't generate electricity in these power plants. If that happens, then the supply of electricity to industries gets affected. If there's no water, there's no electricity, then the industries cannot run their machines. and huge losses have to be faced by trade and commerce industries. So monsoons are very important to India because of agriculture and agro-based industries, hydroelectric power plants, and supply of electricity. Remember these points. So what are the 5 factors responsible for India's tropical climate, monsoon climate? The first one, which we have said, is latitudinal position. The Tropic of Cancer divides India into 2 parts. The northern part lies above the Tropic of Cancer in the temperate zone. The southern part lies below the Tropic of Cancer in the tropical zone. The position and the effect of the Himalayas. The Himalayas in the north form a climatic barrier and protects northern India from cold winds from Siberia and Central Asia. So they are the barrier on top. Influence of surrounding seas. India is surrounded by 3 water bodies: the Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal, and the Arabian Sea. And they act as a major source of moisture for summer monsoons because these monsoon winds are in the belt of 20 north and 20 south of the equator, and we are lying in the 20 north part of it. And so these monsoon winds pick up moisture from these water bodies and come into India. Varied relief features, the landforms, the Western Ghats, the Deccan Plateau, the Aravali Range. How do these moisture bearing winds go and crash against certain landforms and leave precipitation there? Monsoon winds, they bring summer rains all over South Asia, including India. So if you're asked, what are the factors responsible for this tropical monsoon season in India? 2 things you should remember: Himalayas in the north as a barrier, the 3 water bodies in the south. That's done. Latitudinal position, we lie in the tropics, our relief features, and the monsoon winds. Let's name the following. So now I believe that when you study geography, a map should be there in front of you. Let's first, before we look at this, let's look at this. You have the Himalayas here, east to west, a barrier. You have these 3 water bodies. You have a water body here, Arabian Sea. You have an Indian Ocean here, and you have the Bay of Bengal here. So monsoon winds can blow from this, and then you have the tropics passing through it, Tropic of Cancer. So there are monsoon winds in this region that now this area gets, the land area gets heated up during summer. Therefore, there's low pressure of air here, high pressure of air here, and therefore the winds move in this direction and come here. Now, 2 places in India that receive heaviest rainfall. I have broken these up like this so that you understand the sound and learn the spelling. Marks will be cut for spellings. Cherrapunji, 2 R's. Cherrapunji in Meghalaya, Monsoon in Meghalaya. These 2 places have the maximum rainfall, heaviest rainfall in India. Cherrapunji, Monsoon. A place in Meghalaya that gets rainfall in a single day equal to 10 years of rainfall in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. In a single day, the amount it rains in Tura in Meghalaya, that much rainfall Rajasthan, Jaisalmer and Rajasthan gets over 10 years. Can you imagine? 10 years of rainfall in Rajasthan and Jaisalmer is 1 day in Tura. These places get hit by strong storms almost every 3rd or 5th day in July and August. Which are these? The Ganga Delta and the coastal plains of Odisha. Just learn these up. They get rains in the beginning of the winter season, coastal Tamil Nadu. We'll learn about this. The difference between day and night temperature is huge, 25 and 30 degrees, Thar desert. Okay, so understand this. Yep. The difference between the day and night temperature is called the diurnal temperature. So I hope you've understood this, and Meghalaya is here, and this green part is Meghalaya, and that's where this rain happens. What are the factors that affect the climate of India? There are 10 of them. We'll learn each one individually. Direction of the mountain ranges, including the Himalayas. Varied relief features mean various landforms. Direction of monsoon winds, very important. Latitudinal extent, this is our latitudinal extent, above the equator 8 degrees to 37 degrees north. Altitude, height from the sea. Influence of surrounding seas. Distance from the sea, are you in the interiors, are you on the coast? western disturbances. This is the disturbances in the Mediterranean Sea area. It's very important to know. Jet streams and the El Nino effect. So name 4 factors that affect the climate of India. Pick up from these and put it there. Vast latitude extent, 8 degrees north to 37 degrees north. Direction of mountain ranges and altitude, distance from the sea, and direction of the winds, the monsoon winds. Learn these up, please. The question is going to come like this. I put all the points on this side for you to pick up any 4 and learn them. Okay, so let's start by looking at the first point, the Himalayas. Very important. It's going to come and give the reason for sure. Okay, what is the important point about the Himalayas? Now look at this map. Look at the Himalayas. They are here. This brown part is the Himalayas, and they are going from east to west, okay. Now they form a climatic barrier separating India from the rest of Asia. There's a two-way effect of the Himalayas. They prevent the cold Siberian winds from entering India and making India a cold desert. If the Himalayas were not there, India would have been a cold desert because very cold winds from Siberia, from Russia here, would have entered India. Secondly, they force the moisture-laden southwest monsoon winds to shed rainfall in India. Otherwise, India would become a very dry region. The southwest monsoon winds come and crash against the Himalayas. They can't cross over from them and they precipitate. So northern part of India receives a lot of rainfall. So two-way effect of the Himalayas. From the north, they prevent us from becoming a cold desert. From the south, they help us from not becoming a dry region. India has a somewhat uniform pattern of climate despite its stretching from 8 to 37 degrees north. Why? It is uniform because from here this protection from the cold, from here this protection from the heat, landform, this whole landform getting heated up because of the monsoon winds coming and hitting it and causing precipitation and rain, because of the climatic divide by the Himalayas. They had a divide. Cold remains up, dry cannot come inside because we have rain. So it's very important. India has a uniform pattern of climate because of the climatic divide by the Himalayas. Divide meaning it keeps out the cold and it breaks the heat by bringing monsoon. I hope you understood this. So we understood about the Himalayas. They are a climatic divide. They divide the climate. No cold from top and no creating heat here because of the rain-bearing winds can crash against them. Let us understand the second point. How do varied relief features like mountain ranges, ghats, western ghats, plateaus affect the climate of India? This monsoon climate, how do they affect? The western ghats, they get heavy rainfall on their western side, the windward side. The western ghats are in this part of India. Okay, they come in the way of this is the southwest monsoon winds. They come in the way of the southwest monsoon winds that blow from the Arabian Sea, causing rainfall there. The Deccan Plateau gets less rainfall. Because it lies in these are the western ghats. The windward side is where it's going to rain. The other side, the leeward side, is where there's no rainfall, and that's called the rain shadow area. So they get less rainfall because they lie in the rain shadow area of the western ghats. So Deccan Plateau does not get rain. Aravali range in Rajasthan, this is the Aravali range, the famous Aravali range. It lies, now instead of lying in the way of the monsoon winds like this, it lies parallel to the monsoon winds. So it is parallel to the direction of the southwest monsoon winds. So the Aravali range cannot stop these moisture-laden winds from making Rajasthan a dry area. They are not able to. The winds bypass them and go further north, and they don't give rainfall there. Okay. Now, Assam, southern hills in Assam get a lot of rainfall, but the northern hills do not. The southern hills force the moisture-laden winds to shed their moisture before they move southwards, the windward and the leeward side. So give reason for the southwest monsoon winds pass over Rajasthan, although it has the Aravali range. Yet Rajasthan is a dry area because the Aravali range is parallel to the direction of the southwest monsoon winds. So the Aravali range cannot stop these moisture-laden winds, making Rajasthan a dry area. So it's important that the reef, which is like a mountain, lies in the way of the winds. If the winds are blowing this way and you're parallel to it, the winds are going to go past and go away. They'll just bypass you completely, no rainfall. Got that? So this range is parallel to the blowing winds, the moisture-laden winds, and therefore no rainfall. Okay, now let us look at the point about monsoon winds. That's important to understand. The monsoon winds, they bring summer rain over the whole of South Asia. There are two types of monsoon winds. In summer, the southwest monsoons. This is the southwest monsoon India from the southwest. They come this way, and the ones from southeast get deflected by the Coriolis effect, and it's called the southwest monsoon too. The southwesterly winds from the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. There are two branches of the southwest monsoon, the Arabian Sea branch and the Bay of Bengal branch. They carry moisture and bring rain to the entire Indian subcontinent. See, it is going this way up, 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 and from here this way up, just bypassing Rajasthan because it's parallel to it, so Aravalis can't make it rain. But here you have the Western Ghats. They crash and they give rain. Tibet is up here, above here. Tibet remains dry. Why? Because the Himalayas are here and Tibet is on the leeward side of the Himalayas, the other side, in the rain shadow area of the Himalayas. So it remains dry. This question can come that despite the southwest monsoons, why is Tibet dry? Tibet is on the other side of the Himalayas. So it does not get the Himalayas are protected from the cold winds and the Himalayas stop the rain from reaching it. So Tibet is a very, very cold place and no rain. In winter, these winds, southwesterly winds, are from the shore, from the seas. In winter, dry. Now this is the northeast monsoon winds. From offshore means from this side, not from the shore side, but from the other side. Dry offshore northeast monsoon winds, they originate in Mongolia and northwest China. They are cold and dry, no moisture, because they are blowing over large land masses. They join the trade winds, they pass over the Bay of Bengal, picking up moisture, and then they hit the coast of Tamil Nadu and bring rain to Tamil Nadu. It's called winter rain. So the northeast trade winds, they come from the top and they are the northeast monsoon winds. They do not have moisture as much, they're dry. How do they get their moisture to bring rain in Tamil Nadu? Where do they pick up the moisture from? They blow from the north, from Tibet and northwest China. They're dry, very cold monsoon winds. When they blow over the Bay of Bengal, they pick up moisture and then they come and they come and have rain in Tamil Nadu. Important to understand. So how do monsoon winds form? Because of the differential heating of land and sea. What are monsoon winds also called? They are called periodic winds or seasonal winds. I hope you've understood that the southwest monsoon picks up moisture from the three water bodies. The northeast monsoon winds pick up water only of the Bay of Bengal and therefore they bring rain to Tamil Nadu. Okay. The third point, or the fourth point rather, is latitude. Let's understand what is latitude. Why is it important for climate? If you look at this map, you must keep maps in front of you. When you study geography, open up the maps in your textbook. If you can't find the maps there, look up the internet. Open up, you have an atlas which you have all bought now for your studies. Open it up. Look at maps to understand what's happening. Here is the Tropic of Cancer. Okay. In the Indian subcontinent is divided into two parts, the Tropic of Cancer. The one above it up is the temperate zone till here, and the one below it is the tropics till the equator. Okay. Now the northern part lies in the temperate zone. The one above the Tropic of Cancer, this is the temperate zone. What is the climate in the temperate zone? Warm temperature climate gives it cold winters and hot summers. Okay, like here, Delhi, cold winters, hot summers. But we are below it, we are here. Does not have the midday sun vertically overhead during any part of the year. The northern part. The southern part lies in the tropical zone. Is warm and clear-cut winter, not such a cold winter. Here, the midday sun lies vertically overhead at least twice every year because we're going closer to the equator. So latitude is important. This important latitude, Tropic of Cancer, puts us in the tropics, below it. And that's how the monsoon winds are coming to us, because now we're in the tropics where the monsoon winds reside, right? Latitude is important. Understand why. Now give reasons for. This is where you have to apply your latitude fundas. I've put this give reason for here because the latitude answer applies to it. Which place is hotter and why? Chandigarh, Amritsar, Jalandhar, Meerut, Bareilly, Delhi, Agra, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Secunderabad, Mysore, which is hotter? When I choose to say that Hyderabad, Bangalore, Secunderabad and Mysore, I call them group 1, are hotter than Chandigarh, Amritsar, Jalandhar, Meerut, Bareilly, Delhi and Agra group 2. Why? If we go to the map in the previous couple of slides, you will see that the group 1 all lie below the Tropic of Cancer, and the group 2 cities all lie above the Tropic of Cancer in the temperate zone. So because cities belonging to group 1, these guys, lie within the tropics, so they are closer to the equator. So what happens? They receive the direct rays of the sun. The direct rays of the sun are shorter and concentrated over a smaller area. The sun's rays travel through lesser layers of the atmosphere and are intense. So, this is not India, this is America, but see, direct, when the sun is overhead, a smaller area, the sun's rays are concentrated over. If you look at the sloping, the larger area they're concentrated over. So when the sun rays are directly overhead, they are concentrated over a smaller area. So they have to pass through lesser layers of the atmosphere to reach you at that point. And therefore, heat is intense. So cities lying in the tropics are closer to the equator. So they experience more intense rays of the sun directly overhead, passing through lesser layers of the atmosphere, shorter and concentrated rays of the sun. Cities belonging to group 2 lie north of the tropics in the temperate zone. They are further away from the equator. They receive indirect rays of the sun. So what happens? The indirect rays are longer and spread over a larger surface area. See, this ray is longer and spread over more surface area. This ray is shorter and spread over a smaller surface area. The sun's rays travel through here more layers. See, from here to a longer distance than from here to here. So more layers of the atmosphere and are less intense. So as we move away from the equator, the temperature goes on decreasing with increase in latitude. So this is your equator, 0 degrees. This is Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, and you keep moving up and down from north and south poles. When you move away from the equator, the sun's rays are less intense, less concentrated. So it is less hot compared to on the equator or areas around the equator. So these cities all lie above the tropics. So they're far away from the equator. These cities lie in the tropics. So they're closer to the equator. The closer you are to the equator, the hotter you're going to be. So when you in this chapter, there are many confusing give reasons for. You should be able to identify which geographical region applies to this question. Here, which place is hotter? Hotter means it is either a latitude answer where it is closer to the equator. Some of the cities are closer to the equator. Then the points should come. Direct rays of the sun rays of the sun are shorter and more concentrated. They have to pass through lesser layers of the atmosphere. You know that the atmosphere also absorbs the sun's heat, insolation, remember? So the more layers you have to pass through, the lesser heat is going to reach the other end. The lesser layers you have to pass through, lesser particles are absorbing the heat, so more heat reaches the Earth's surface. So understand this well. Now comes the point of altitude. Temperature decreases as altitude, distance from the Earth's surface increases. The higher you go, the cooler it is. Mahabaleshwar is cooler than Mumbai. Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar is cooler than Udhampur or Jammu, right? So, the temperature decreases by 1 degree centigrade for every 166 meter rise in height. So, mountains are cooler than plains. Give reason for Ooty is cooler than Kochi. So easy. Ooty is on a hilltop because Ooty is at a higher altitude. So name places on higher altitudes in India. There are many. I put a few here. Darjeeling, Shillong, Shimla, Kulu, Manali, Mussoorie, Srinagar, Mahabaleshwar, Olavla, Kerala, all are a higher range. Okay. Give a geographical reason. Which place is cooler in summer? Chandigarh or Shimla? Shimla. Patna or Ranchi? Ranchi. Bangalore or Ooty? Ooty. Dehradun or Mussoorie? Mussoorie. Bombay, Mahabaleshwar? Mahabaleshwar. Thiruvananthapuram or Munnar? Munnar. Coimbatore, Kodaikanal? Kodaikanal. Why? Because all the choices you have made are on a higher altitude. There's a drop in temperature with every kilometer rise in altitude. So the higher you go away from the Earth's surface, there's a drop in temperature. Okay, remember that. So if give reason for comes, which is cooler, Shimla or Chandigarh? You should think, is it about the tropics? No. Or the latitude? No. Shimla and Chandigarh are both above Tropic of Cancer. So they are in the temperate zone. So I can't apply this tropic funda to them. That one is eliminated. What is next then? Next is altitude. Shimla is at a higher altitude than Chandigarh. So don't just give any answer you feel like. Eliminate each one. First one is I have learned is latitude and tropics. Tropic of Cancer. But these two guys are above Tropic of Cancer, so that reason will not apply. Ek above, ek below, I can understand. Both are above. Now what? That reason doesn't apply. Next one, altitude. Is one at a higher altitude than the other one? Yes. Which is cooler, Mahabaleshwar or Mumbai? Mahabaleshwar, it's a high altitude, it's on a hilltop, right? So apply logic before you give reason for. The influence of the surrounding seas. India is surrounded, I put the map of India for you. I put all the rivers just for you to see. India is surrounded by 3 water bodies. The Arabian Sea to the west, the Bay of Bengal to the east, and the Indian Ocean to the south. These water bodies impact the climate, especially of areas lying close to them. The coastal areas are definitely affected by these water bodies. They are a major source of moisture to the summer monsoons, bringing heavy rainfall to the whole region, this whole region. The areas close to these water bodies have moderate climate, equable climate, right? We said about that, equable, moderate climate. Why? I just explained to you in the beginning of the slides, sea breeze and land breeze. They maintain the climate of that area. During the day, the land is hot, sea breeze. Evening, sea becomes cooler more slowly, land breeze. That keeps the temperature equable, not very hot and not very cold. Okay. So this is a slide that takes into consideration a geographical reason for sea coasts or areas close to the sea have equable, moderate climate. Why? They are neither too hot, neither too cold. Why? You should know equable climate, if that is being asked to be explained, it has to do with sea breeze and land breeze. Sea coasts or areas close to the sea have small, low diurnal range of temperature. Sea coasts or areas close to the sea have small, low annual range of temperature. All these. Why? The sea has a moderating influence on the coastal areas. And that is the reason for this happening? Because the sea has a moderating effect or influence on the climate of coastal areas because of land breeze and sea breeze. This is the answer. If it is for 1 mark, this is the answer. If it is 3 marks or 2 marks, then the explanation is required below it. Due to the differential heating of land and sea, because land and sea heat at different rates, land heats faster than sea, we learned that. During the day, the land gets heated faster. Hot air above the land rises, creating an area of low pressure. At the same time, area above the sea is cooler and creates an area of high pressure over the sea. Cool winds blow from sea to land and lower the temperature during the day. During the night, the sea takes longer to cool and land cools faster. So there is an area of high pressure over land and low pressure over the sea. Cool winds thus blow from the land to the sea. This sea breeze and land breeze are what make for the equable climate on the sea coasts. So the climate on sea coast is equable. They have a low diurnal range. The difference between the maximum and minimum temperature of the day is low, which means the climate is nice, and low annual range of temperature. So the sea has a moderating influence on the climate of the areas around it, and that equable climate is caused by the land breeze and sea breeze. Areas in the interiors of the continent do not have equable climate. They have continental climate, which is very cold winters, very hot and dry summers, which is not the case in coastal areas. This is a very important slide for all the give reasons for in this chapter. Let us look at one more reason. Distance from the sea. Areas in interior India have extreme climate called continental climate. Why? Because they do not receive the moderating influence of the sea. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words are important. Moderating influence of the sea. Again and again repeated in the give the reasons for. Let's see how. Coastal areas have moderate or maritime or equable climate because they receive the moderating influence of the sea. Moderating means if the sea is hot and the land is cold, you get one kind of breeze. If the land is hot and the sea is cold, you get one kind of breeze. That moderates the temperature. It keeps it neither too hot, neither too cold. What is the moderating influence of the sea? What causes it? The differential rate of cooling of land and sea. Land and sea breeze effect. Cooling or heating, it's the same thing. The Western Ghats prevent the winds from carrying the benefits of the monsoon inwards. Thus, the effect of the sea is limited to the coastal areas. For example, the sea's effect on coastal areas gets broken by the Western Ghats on the western side of India. Now, give geographical reason for. Just apply the same thing here. Places far away from the sea have extreme climate or they have continental climate. Places far away from the sea have high annual range of temperature. Or places in interior land masses have extreme temperatures, very hot summers and very cold winters. Or they have high diurnal range of temperature. Everything is because they lie in the interior. The word interior is important, and they do not have the moderating influence of the sea. Land cools fast, temperatures drop. Thus annual range in temperature is high. Diurnal range is also high, and this is continental climate. So why are areas in the interiors of India, like why does Delhi have continental climate and not equable climate? Well, because Delhi lies in the, if that is the question, Delhi lies in the interior and does not experience the moderating influence of the sea. That's enough. Why does Delhi have a high annual range of temperature? Why does Delhi have a high diurnal range of temperature? Because Delhi lies in the interior and does not have the moderating influence of the sea. Which of the two will have a low diurnal range of temperature? Bombay or Delhi? Well, Delhi. Why? Because Delhi lies in the interior and does not have the moderating influence of the sea. Bombay lies on the coast. It has the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore, Delhi has high diurnal range of temperature. Bombay has low. Delhi has high annual range of temperature. Bombay has low. Delhi has continental climate. Bombay has equable climate. Same answer for all. Delhi experiences. Delhi is in the interiors. does not experience the moderating influence of the sea. Bombay is on the coast. It experiences the moderating influence of the sea. So the influence of proximity to the sea or water bodies, lot of give reason fors come. Three types of give reason for. First, continental or equable climate. Okay. Second, great or low annual range of temperature. Third, great or low diurnal range of temperature. Every city close to the sea or a water body will have equable climate, low annual range of temperature, low diurnal range of temperature. Every city away from the coast in the interiors will have continental climate, high diurnal range of temperature, and high annual range of temperature. Just imprint it in your minds. Give geographical reason for. Allahabad, Delhi, Nagpur, Patna, Agra, Hyderabad, Udaipur, Jaipur, Lucknow, all in group 1 have a greater annual range of temperature than Calcutta, Bombay, Alibag, Goa, Panaji, Kandla, Mangalore, Cochin, Thiruvananthapuram, Kanyakumari, Visakhapatnam, Haldia. Now, I put them in groups. Now, think of it. This cannot be they lie in the tropics and they lie in the temperate zone. No, because in this group, well, Allahabad and Nagpur, they all lie above the tropics. Hyderabad lies below the tropic. That will not work. Altitude? No. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. So, this has got to do with the moderating influence of the sea, because cities in group 1 are in the interiors and lie far away from the sea. They do not experience the moderating influence of the sea, and they therefore experience extreme continental climate, hot summer and cold winter. Cities in group 2 are close to the sea. The word interior and close are important. They receive the moderating influence of the sea. So they experience maritime or moderate type of climate. So you should know these cities are all in the interiors of India, far away from the sea. So they do not experience the moderating influence of the sea. The others are on the coast, and so they are able to receive the moderating influence of the sea, and they experience maritime or moderate or equable climate. Alright. Now we look at the remaining 3 features that affect the climate of India. Western disturbances. This has to do with the westerly depression in the Mediterranean Sea or Atlantic Ocean. So during winter, due to shift in pressure belts, the westerlies blow from 20 degrees north to 50 degrees north latitudes. There has to be a change in pressure for winds to blow. Okay. Now, during winter, there's a shift in the pressure belts. The westerly winds blow in that latitude range, 20 to 50 north. The westerly depression originating in the Mediterranean Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, causes cyclones. There's a depression in the Mediterranean Sea well above us on the northwest side. And because of the depression there, winds start blowing towards India. They bring cyclones and winds from the Mediterranean Sea to North India. The northern plains receive rain and Jammu and Kashmir receives snow. So that is one cause for climatic change in India. Then you have learned this. What are jet streams? How do they affect the climate of India? Jet streams are cold, fast blowing winds that develop in the upper layers of the atmosphere. You should know what they are and where do they come from. They are cold, fast-blowing winds that develop in the upper layers of the atmosphere and influence the climate of India. The westerly jet stream prevails over the northern plains in winter. This is again winter. The easterly jet streams steers the tropical depression over India and has a significant role in the distribution of monsoon rainfall over India. The highest rainfall occurs along the track of these depressions. It's very important to learn this. The El Nino effect. How does the El Nino effect affect the climate of India? The El Nino is a warm ocean current. Jet streams are cold, fast-blowing winds. There is a warm ocean current that occurs in December off the coast of Peru. It affects the movement of monsoon winds in the Indian Ocean, causing drought-like situations. So, the El Nino effect is a warm ocean current that occurs in December off the coast of Peru, and it affects the movement of monsoon winds in the Indian Ocean, causing drought-like situations. So you should know El Nino effect is a warm ocean current off the coast of Peru. It affects the movement of monsoon winds where? In the Indian Ocean only, causing a drought-like situation. It doesn't let the monsoon winds reach India. Okay. So now I've put together a few geographical reasons based on all the factors we have studied about what all affects the climate of India. Okay. Let's look at it. The annual range of temperature is more in Agra than in Mumbai. The minute the words annual range, diurnal range come up, you should know it has to do with the surrounding oceans or water bodies that allow them to experience the moderating influence of the sea. Now see, Agra lies away from the moderating influence of the sea. Agra lies in the interiors, away from the moderating influence of the sea. Mumbai lies close to the sea, on the coast. So it lies close to the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore, the annual range of temperature is more in Agra than in Mumbai. Cochin, Thiruvananthapuram and Kanyakumari are hot throughout the year. This doesn't have to do with proximity to the sea, because then they will not be, that's not the reason for it, right? They are close to the equator, latitude. They receive the direct rays of the sun throughout the year, and therefore they are hot throughout the year. For this answer, don't write that moderating influence of the sea. This is heat. Heat has to do with direct rays of the sun lying in the tropics, lying close to the equator. Okay. Ooty has much lower temperature than Kochi. Now, how do we say? Ooty and Kochi both lie in the tropics, below the Tropic of Cancer. They don't, Ooty lies in a hill station. Kochi is a coast. So you can say that Ooty lies on a much higher altitude. It's higher, whereas Cochin lies lower near the sea. So Cochin has equable climate. Ooty has continental climate, cold climate. It's up there, away in the interiors. So altitude and distance from the sea. Third one, Mumbai is warmer than Kanpur in December. Mumbai is on the coast. So that part you have to write moderating influence of the sea. Mumbai is located on the western coast and so experiences moderating influence of the sea. It has maritime climate throughout the year. Moderating, and the other word is interior. Kanpur is located in the interior of the Indian subcontinent. It is far away from the sea. It experiences continental climate. So it has hot summers and cold winters. Therefore, Mumbai is warmer than Kanpur. Why is it warmer than Kanpur in December? Kanpur is cold. Kanpur is interior. It has continental. Mumbai is coastal. It experiences the moderating influence of the sea. All right. So in this slide, again, we study something very interesting for give reasons. There are great variations in climate in the Indian subcontinent because various reasons. It extends from 8 degrees north to 37 degrees north. It's a stretch of so many kilometers north to south. It extends across 2 climatic zones, tropical and temperate. It has a barrier of the Himalayas. It is surrounded by the oceans. Any of those reasons, it lies in the tropics, so there are monsoon winds. Any of the reasons are going to be good enough for this. Kerala has a tropical climate, whereas Punjab has a continental climate. First of all, tropical means the word tropics has to come. Kerala lies below the Tropic of Cancer. So Kerala lies in the tropics, in the southern zone of the Tropic of Cancer. So it has tropical climate. Punjab lies to the north of the Tropic of Cancer and is in the interior of the continent, away from the sea. So it does not experience the moderating influence of the sea. So it has continental. Why does Kerala have tropical? It lies in the tropics. It lies below the Tropic of Cancer, in the tropics. Why does Punjab have continental? Not because it lies above the tropics, because the reason for Punjab is different. The Punjab reason is the moderating influence of the sea. The Kerala reason is the tropics, the latitude. Both have been mixed here. Think and write. For Kerala, tropical climate lies in the tropic zone. For continental, it lies in the interior, away from the moderating influence of the sea. India has a somewhat uniform pattern of climate despite its stretching. Here it is saying it has variations. Why does it have uniform? Himalayas are the reason for uniform. Cut off the cold from the top, don't allow it to be hot by getting rain. So because of the influence, the climatic divide of the Himalayas. If they say you have a large variation in climate, then all those reasons. If they say somewhat uniform pattern despite the stretch, then it is the climatic divide of the Himalayas. Two opposing questions. One is uniform climate, which means not very cold, not very hot. Himalayas are the climatic divide. If they say lots of variation, lots of changes, then these answers. Excessive cold in North India during the winter season is because why? Not because of the Siberian winds. The Himalayas are stopping there, the barrier. Something else is happening. Cold winds from the Caspian Sea and Turkmenistan bring a cold wave over the northwestern parts of India. That is the first reason for the cold wave in North India. Second, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, J&K are located in the interiors away from the sea, so they do not experience the moderating influence of the sea. And third, snowfall in the nearby Himalayan ranges creates a cold wave in North India. Understand the give reason for question being asked and then attempt it. One more round of the same. The northern plains of India do not freeze in winter. Why? Because of the barrier. The Himalayas prevent us from becoming frozen or from becoming a dry desert. Okay. The Great Himalayan Range acts as a barrier and prevents cold Siberian winds from entering India and making it a cold desert. You have to mention the word cold Siberian winds. The word barrier, they should all come. Even in summer, Shimla is cooler than Delhi. Is this latitude? No. Shimla and Delhi both are above the Tropic of Cancer. This is not altitude. Okay. Is this some sea effect? There is no sea there. Altitude. Shimla is at a higher altitude than Delhi. With a drop of 6 degrees centigrade with every 1 kilometer rise in the ascent or altitude. Kanyakumari experiences an equable climate. Equable means immediately moderating influence of the sea. Kanyakumari is close to the sea. It experiences the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore, it experiences equable or maritime or moderate climate. Mangalore is not cold even in the month of December. Why? Oh, if in December you are not very cold and in April you are not very warm, it means you have equable climate. Not too warm, not too cold. So I am near where? I am near the sea to have equable climate. Mangalore lies close to the sea and experiences the moderating influence of the sea, thereby having moderate equable climate. Kochi has a lower annual range of temperature than Agra. Annual range immediately bullseye, coastal region. So moderating influence of the sea. Agra lies in the interior and is far away from the sea. It does not receive the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore experiences extreme continental type of climate, hot summers and cold winters. Kochi is close to the sea. It receives the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore experiences maritime or moderating or equable climate. Therefore, Kochi has a lower annual range of temperature than Agra. So I'm doing this again and again to just put it into your heads about this equable climate. Chennai has a lower annual range of temperature. If you have annual range of temperature, it has to do with the influence of the water bodies. It has to do with the moderating influence of the sea. Lucknow lies in the interior and is far away from the sea. It does not receive the moderating influence of the sea. It therefore experiences extreme continental type of climate, hot summers and cold winters. Chennai is close to the sea. It receives the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore, it experiences equable maritime or moderate type of climate. Therefore, it has lower annual range of temperature as compared to Lucknow. Jaipur has a lower annual range of temperature. Jaipur has a higher annual range of temperature than Mumbai because Jaipur lies in the interiors. It is far away from the sea. It does not receive the moderating influence of the sea. Therefore, it experiences extreme continental type of climate, hot summer and cold winter. So it has a high annual range of temperature. Mumbai is close to the sea. It receives the moderating influence of the sea. It therefore experiences maritime or equable type of climate, moderate type of climate. Therefore, it has a lower annual range of temperature as compared to Jaipur. Okay, fine. I hope you've enjoyed studying the factors that affect the climatic aspects of India. What causes the monsoons to happen? What kind of monsoons come to India? How do they come about? And what are the 7 or 8 reasons for the climatic changes and variations in India? And the importance of the Himalayas, the importance of surrounding water bodies, the importance of latitude. Latitude tells you about the sun's rays, how direct they are, and how they are important for the heat in that area. The surrounding water bodies cause equable climate. They have a moderating influence. The Himalayas are a huge climatic divide. They stop the cold winds from the Siberia to come into India, and they stop India from becoming a heat zone or a drought prone zone by letting the southwest monsoon winds crash against them and they cause rain. You have the monsoon winds that are in the particular belt of the tropics in which part of India lies. Then you have altitude. Then you have, so you have relief features which cause rain. So, remember all these points that are affecting the climatic aspect of India. Why is India not why does India have variations? These 7 reasons. Why does India not have, despite being in this, from 7 to 37, whatever that stretch, because of the climatic divide of the Himalayas? Remember that. Think of what is being asked, and then give reason for, and you'll crack it. Just learn it well. Okay. I look forward to your participation in part 2, where we are going to study basically the southwest monsoons. So that whole part 2 is dedicated to that, and there'll be more parts beyond that till we complete the chapter. I hope you've enjoyed studying this with me. Send me your comments, suggestions, WhatsApp me, ask me for clarifications, and I will incorporate them in the videos that come along in the future. My YouTube channel is called PowerBasics by UJC. You can see it right here. Like it, subscribe to it, post your comments, and I'd be happy to know that you're enjoying studying these geography chapters with me. Thank you, take care, and enjoy Standard 10th Geography with PowerBasics by UJC.